Good morning, everyone. I am Corinne Joy Vota, sports photographer. Today I am in, where am I? Denver. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I am shooting the Pacific Nations Cup rugby matches. Fiji, Samoa, US, Japan, Canada, Tonga. So it's going to be some really good rugby this weekend and next weekend. Now, I'm here to talk about two lenses. I own both, and had I done things a little bit differently, I would only own one, but at the same time, I'm not going to get rid of either one of them. I'm keeping them both. And that is the Sony 300mm 2.8 G Master and the Sony 400mm 2.8 G Master. There's definitely a size difference between them. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background with both of these and why I have them and what I would have done differently. So, when I was starting into sports photography not that long ago, I started with the Sony 100-400 G Master. There's some other videos on here that describe my relationship with that lens. Needless to say, I don't own that lens anymore, but it was a great lens. I loved it. But I showed up at one of my first matches with that lens, and there was this woman who had, she's a Canon shooter, she's great. She had the 400 G Master. And I remember just looking at it with envy going, what is that? Like, I didn't even know what it was at the time. I couldn't even tell. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. And maybe I should get a bigger lens. Now, as I started shooting more, I realized the benefits of longer glass and faster glass. And that's when the 100-400 wasn't cutting it anymore. My next lens after the 100-400 was actually the 70-200 because it was 2.8. I learned the benefits of that, and I remember getting that right before a rugby match in San Diego. And a 70-200 for field sports is great when people are close. Like it's a perfect lens when people are close. But when they get past like a 20-yard line, if you're at one end of the field, it's pretty much useless. So I knew I needed longer glass. And I looked at the cost of the two of these. This one, $6,000. And this one, $13,000. $12,000, well, plus tax, $13,000. There was no way I could justify buying this. It just didn't make any sense. I wasn't getting paid for anything yet. Like it didn't make sense to get. The 300 also didn't make financial sense to get, but it was much more approachable. And I figured, well, 300 millimeters is going to be better than my 70-200. It'll make me look more professional. Like people will see me with it, and they'll be like, "Oh, you must be a real photographer," and you know all that ego shit that we get wrapped up in too often in this industry. And I was like, "All right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to buy this lens." I had an event to shoot. That made sense, and I got it, and I showed up with it, and sure enough, it was great for up to about the 40 or 50 yard line. The 20 to 30 yard line really was its sweet spot if you're down at one end. This was $6,000. I could have bought a used 400 in great condition for about $8,000, $8,500 in that range. Some more, but I didn't because I also had the ego of why would I buy used, right? Like I have a new A1, I have a new A9. Why would I buy a used lens? Well, I shot with this 2 or 3 times, and I realized that everyone else that I was shooting with that had the 400 were getting shots I couldn't get. And then I had an opportunity, I forget the match, but it was probably professional soccer. that I realized, hey, if I'm going to be shooting field sports, which is largely what I do, I really do need the 400 lens. Now, there's plenty of people out there that shoot like a 150 to 600 from Sigma or Tamron or something like that, and that's awesome if it's a day game and you don't care about stuff behind the players being in focus. Killer, it's awesome. Knock yourself out. But I do. I'm going for professional. I want my backgrounds blown out. I want crystal sharp images. And so 2.8 was the slowest. Anything faster than that is now my threshold. And so I bit the bullet and had this match coming up. Really didn't want to spend 12 grand because I'd still heard rumors that there's a new 400 G Master coming out, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And so I jumped on KEH. I didn't fully understand their system. Apparently Excellent Minus is actually like one of their lower grades, but I just saw, I was like, Excellent. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, sign me up for Excellent. And I bought this lens. And then I freaked out for like a week until it arrived because I was like, oh my God, that's actually one of their lower grades. Who named a lower grade Excellent, by the way? Whatever. Anyways, I was freaking out that I bought a shit lens. And it showed up. And to this day, I can't figure out why it wasn't brand new. It's one of the things about expensive lenses. Whoever bought this one brand new is someone who spent $12,000 on a lens. They're going to take care of the lens. Like, professional photographers take care of their shit. Yeah, it might get scuffed up here or there or whatever. And this one wasn't. It was in perfect condition. But it arrived, and it arrived perfectly. Now, since I got this lens sits on a shelf a lot. Now, I'm not getting rid of it because I found a couple use cases that are perfect for it. Some NBA stuff. When I'm not on the court side, this is literally the perfect lens for that. Or if I have to travel light, because this is easily I don't know, twice as heavy, but it's definitely a lot heavier. When it's in my backpack, I really feel it. When this is in my backpack, I kind of feel it. Now, comparing the two lenses, aside from the extra reach, which is substantial, this one's still not, it can shoot the other end of the field if you need it to. I don't, because usually by then, it's just too far. The depth of field is all off. This is a solid get me to the 50-yard line thing, which is great in field sports because field sports are either going one way or the other, right? So the team's coming at you the first half, you got plenty of shots to them. The other team switches, now you have them coming at you. It's literally perfect. As far as image quality, things like that are concerned, in my opinion, the 300 is still sharper, just a fraction sharper than the 400. Now, the 400 is old. This is like a year or two old, and this is like 7 or 8 years old. There probably is a G Master 2 version coming, which hopefully is... Here's what it would have to change for me to upgrade from this. It would have to be significantly lighter. And it's weird saying I'd buy a new lens for it just being lighter, but if it's significantly lighter, I would buy it because this is heavy. It's always on a monopod. If I could theoretically hand hold a 400, like that would be awesome. The other thing that would cause me to upgrade is if they mimicked the Nikon party trick of a built-in teleconverter to go to 5.6 f4. Just with the flip of a switch, boom. Now I actually am shooting the other end of the field. That's tempting. But aside from that, there's no reason why I would ever get rid of this lens. So I bought them both. Hindsight, I should have just bought this one used. I should have paid the $8,500, one and done. Instead, I'm at like $15,000 all in with a lens that sits on the shelf way more often than it should. For you, if you're deciding between the 300 or 400, it basically comes down to this quotient. I'm assuming if you're looking at a 300 or 400, or if a 400 is even in your ideas, you're either shooting stuff at long distance, like nature or birds or something like that, or you're shooting field sports. And field sports, soccer, lacrosse, rugby, hockey, I guess. It depends on where you're allowed to be. If at every single match I was allowed to wander the sidelines, I wasn't just, stationed down at one end or the other, the 300 would be perfect. This match I'm shooting this weekend, I actually do think I have sideline access. So I'm probably going to use the 300. Maybe. It's also really hot, and a lot of walking doesn't sound great, so I might just park myself at one end and bring the 400. So that's the quotient. If you shoot matches and you are usually stationary at one end or the other, there's no question the 400 is the lens you need. So if you have sideline access, 300 great. If you don't, 400 required. Now, as I said, can you get by with the 200 to 600 from Sony, the 400 to 800, 400 to 800 is actually a different conversation another day. And that goes to F8. And so as long as you're shooting during the day, great, whatever. But if you're shooting at night, no. 150 to 600, you're in field sports and all your games are day games and bright skies, yeah, killer, awesome, knock it out. But if you're serious and want to get to the professional stuff, and you're deciding between a 300 or 400, if you always have sideline access, 300 all day long. It's beautiful. It's great. I personally think it takes sharper photos than the 400. If you're ever relegated to one end or the other, the 400 is the must. The must buy, the must own, the must have. Whatever. Pair it with the 70 to 200, you're good to go. Because usually down at one end, 70 is short enough that you can still get like full body when people are close to you. Hopefully this helps. I know this is one of my more longer rambling things, but as someone who owns them both, I'm keeping them both because this has very particular use cases. Travels better, it's lighter. If I ever shoot in Europe, with the exception of World Cup, because World Cup demanded this, but if I'm going back over this winter to shoot professional women's rugby, maybe some football matches, I'll bring this. It just travels so much lighter and easier on the back. There you have it. Choose wisely, but if you're going to spend $6,000 for this lens, spend the $8,500 to get a used 400. You're going to be a lot happier with this lens long term. Corinne Joy Bota, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the pitch.